start with the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First item of business tonight is the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting May 11th. Anybody have anything that we need to correct?
I move to approve the minutes from May 11th.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting May 11th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business is the approval of the general fund vouchers, 778.24 through 778.58, and wire transfers 192 double lot 518 through 192 double lot 566.
I move to approve. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the general fund vouchers as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business is the public comments on agenda items. Anybody have anything? Okay, so then we'll move on to our new business items. A, review of the COVID-19 response.
Okay, could we table that one and do the library media plan?
Sure. So let's move on to the library media plan.
Hello, everybody.
Mrs. Meyer has agreed to join us, and she's going to be presenting on the library media plan.
Yes, so back in the day before I was here, and kind of when I was here, our school had to have a tech plan in place with the state, so kind of tech goals, and then the library plan was kind of weaseled in there. Well, now the tech plan is gone, and it's just the library plan. So to have this on file, I have to have it approved by you to just say that it looks good, and then I'll send it off to Wisconsin, and we'll be one of a handful done. So that's pretty exciting. So if you want, this is our website. I'll talk a little bit about it later. But if you go to more in the upper right-hand corner, it will say library plan. So they didn't give us any form of how to do this. They didn't say you have to have it look this way or whatever. Some people are just doing a one-page Word document with 5 goals on it, and I chose just to add it to my library website because I constantly look at it and update it. This is the future-ready librarians. I don't know if you're aware, there are future-ready schools that are looking into how they can incorporate technology and everything together. Well, this is, they're pushing us to show all of what we do. We don't just check out books anymore. So this is our welcome. If you go down, I have each of those gears or toggles separated. So the first one is personalized professional learning. So that talks about what we do for ourselves to learn professionally as well as our staff. So I, as in charge of the library, I provide large group training on technology during in-service days. I also do individual training with teachers. If a teacher says, hey, I need something to help me with this lesson, I find something for them, I train them how to use it, and then they work on it. I provide professional learning materials for staff, so if they need a book on how to teach something, I can provide that through our library funds. And I collaborate with administration and staff to see what is needed for our staff. We do surveys throughout the year, but mostly it's word of mouth or collaboration, talking in the lounge or in the hallway. I'm continually learning professionally. I'm constantly going to CSA events. I'm very lucky to be able to go to as many as I need to go to. Some school districts are not that lucky. I'm active with the state. WEMTA, it's a Wisconsin Educational Media and Technology Association. They have a conference once a year in March, and we missed it this year due to the COVID, but I stay up to date with their information. I also have presented at their conference, so that was fun. I gave myself a 5-year goal, and by year 4, I presented. You submit what you want to present, and they have to approve you. So this year I was going to present a couple more things, but I didn't. So next year we'll have enough. They're going to change the format, maybe more virtual, so you don't have to go in person, but it's always a great opportunity to catch up with people you know, see a lot of technology. I suggest it for more than just librarians. There's a lot of tech people, a lot of admin there, and it's really great. Librarians are really on the cutting edge of technology. They're not just sitting there with their buns and their coffee. So I was gonna wear a bun tonight, but and then I attend meetings. I am active. I do shush meetings still. It's pretty fun. And I attend meetings with librarians from around the state and our CISA as well. During our closure here, I attended a weekly meeting with our state representative for librarians, and we met every week for that. I had probably 6 Zoom meetings minimum a week, going from CISA, tech, faculty meetings, stuff like that. So our next year is robust infrastructure. We're very lucky with our 2004 referendum to have dark fiber connecting our schools. So we have plenty of growth ability for our technology. We're not stuck back in the past. So our students have one-to-one devices, our kindergarten through 12th grade. And our pre-K students have access to devices in their classroom as well as computer labs that they can go to at any time. Computers in the library and in the labs are able to print. Our Chromebooks do not print at this time, so the students are able to find a computer that will print for them. And there's 24/7 monitoring by IT staff. Bo and I talk a lot about the technology and what we need to do for our students. Budget and resources. So this is the big one that people have questions about. I do have a handout for you. We get our budget from the state of Wisconsin. It does not come out of the school budget. It's from the Board of Commissioners for Public Lands. I'm trying not to lick my fingers here. Really don't want to. And so back in the day, they had set aside land, and they sold the land, and the money that they made off of the sale, they use to loan to people, okay? School districts, businesses, and the money that they get from that, they give to us. So we get the interest, basically. And every year, depending on how much interest they make, is how much money the schools receive. You don't want more? Perfect. So depending on how much interest they make each year is how much our budget is. Typically, when I started here, actually my budget was $24,000, but because they are doing so well and our census changed, last year I had $32,000. This year I had $39,000, and then with the COVID, they gave us I got an extra $5,000 to help with virtual. So I broke down on there how much I spend for each section. So about 40% of our budget is spent on books, DVDs, and professional materials for our students and staff. I did a large nonfiction update for the elementary this year, so I spent about $10,000 this year at the elementary. Because people are saying, well, there's no books on the shelves over here. Well, over here we rely on ebooks. I have nonfiction books, which is about $1,000 a year, which would only get us about 500 books a year. And so the cost savings for getting an e-selection over here, because they're all on their computers, is much more smart. Over there, the kids love those books. They check out the books. They want to see the pictures. So we did a big nonfiction upgrade this year with animals, careers, and extreme sports, stuff that they're interested in. And the next one, 35% is spent on databases. So databases, on our library website, I have tons of stuff on there for our students. We pay for about 14 databases, which doesn't seem like a lot, but most librarians I talk to only pay for 2 or 3. I've always believed in 24/7 access, so whether they're at school or at home, they can get an ebook, they can get resources. I'm gonna take a breath here. Not scared of you people. Just don't like presenting in front of adults, more like students.
How do you think
We
those
can
performers that
access.
sing keep their breath?
No, I couldn't do it. Just gonna pretend you're all little people. Okay, so like I said, I believe in 24/7 access, so I was really proud of my work, not gonna brag, but when other librarians during this closure were playing catch up and trying to find all this stuff for their students to use, we already had it on there. I did collect virtual resources for virtual field trips, I threw that on there. And then we got Overdrive, which is what the public libraries use. So I'm working to get the kinks out of that this week. It took them a while because everybody was signing up for it. So I will get that sent out in the next week or 2 with all the kinks worked out. So I'm really proud of our website, and the kids know how to use it. I've been teaching the kids how to use it for years. So I was really excited about that. 10% of our budget is on hosting, so check-in, check-out software. And then about 5% is, 15% on technology. So I can purchase computers for the library and for students to use in the library. I can't purchase things like printers or ink and stuff like that. So, but our databases, I'm really proud of that, and I'm really proud of our website. listed what you can purchase with it and you cannot. So, community partnerships. Our library actively promotes the area public libraries. I work closely with Deer Park Public Library because that's my home library, and the Clear Lake Public Library. I'm on the library board for the Clear Lake Public Library. So I promote their summer programs, other programs that they might have. Deer Park and I were working on an author collaboration. We're trying to get a Kevin Lovegreen to come in April, but due to the COVID, he was canceled. So we were pretty bummed, but we'll get him back in the fall. I work on getting speakers in the classrooms, field trips to support what teachers are working on, trips to Mickelson's Tree Farm to help them with their tree unit. We sent them over to the U of M last year for a science field trip. So try and keep the partners with the community active.
Well, it's a great mutual partnership too, like with the Clear Lake Library too, because they will help sponsor, like when we have speakers come in, many times Cricket will sponsor for us, and then in turn that's a chance for her to come in and plug her programs for the summer. So it's a really nice back and forth relationship between the school library and the public library.
Yes. And now that we have Overdrive, she will be able to tell our students if they're at her library to use our Sora with Overdrive, and it will grab books from both databases. So it's pretty exciting. Data and privacy. So we are working really hard to update our student data privacy. We hear about this weekly, and Bo and I are working on it. We have apps and extensions that our students use, and we sign an agreement saying, yeah, we'll use it, but we don't know what they're doing with our student information. So we're going through all our apps and extensions right now to see if they are harvesting our students' information. And there are agreements that have been made through the state of Wisconsin that will say, nope, we're not going to use your app or your extension until you sign this agreement, saying that you will not take our student data, you will not use it or sell it in any way. So we are working on that as we speak. And then I don't just teach library, I teach digital citizenship. So I teach our students how to be appropriate online, how to be responsible, how to be ethical. We start in pre-K here, talking about appropriate amount of time that they spend on their devices. Asking before you go on a device, that is something that we don't teach them all the time. So all the way up until 6th grade, we just keep adding on to it. Once they get to 7th grade, I don't really see them much. So I do have a goal to talk. Kate and I have been talking a lot about incorporating maybe some more digital citizenship during RAP. Because over here they have their phones, they have their computers. So it's a reminder, once a month even, would be a good reminder of what can be done. So. Collaborative leadership. I work with teaching staff to promote the library materials. We co-teach lessons quite a bit. I collaborate with them to show them what we have that they can use in their classroom. That one's pretty, I sit on multiple committees. I am a little too involved. Some people probably would like a break from me, I suppose. So I'm very active. I try to look at the whole picture and help everybody out for that. So we were asked to come up with some goals. Some people had a goal for each toggle. Some people had one goal. So I have a goal, since I've been here, for the use of space and time. We have 2 great libraries. Our library here is awesome. We have tons of space, but it's getting outdated. Our library furniture is, when Kevin and I went to school here, probably has his name on the bottom. They've been trying to...
Yeah, a piece of gum.
Probably has his gum.
DNA test.
It's a great environment. The classes use it all the time. I do have, as you can see, 2 TVs, just like this one and another one, that have been purchased for that library. The other one is still in the box in the office. So it would be great if we could work on updating the space, maybe taking out some of the shelves. We don't need as many as we had. When I got here, our book copyright was in the 70s. Now we're finally in the 2000s. So we're trying to update constantly. The former librarian said, why do you have to get rid of the history books? History doesn't change. My thought is how we read it changes. The kids were not going to read those books, so I've gotten rid of a ton of them. So we've been updating our nonfiction section. I would love to change the space so we have more movable furniture for that collaboration, because they need to work together. And then put the other TV on the wall so classes can come in and they can use the technology. So that's one goal for the high school space. A goal for the elementary space, we had 2 computer labs over there. And we noticed since we went 1-to-1, they weren't both being used like they were when they were initially put in. So the computer lab, next to the library, we had a goal to make a maker space. Well, that is coming true. Bo has just taken all the computers out. I have several items. I brought a few in case you want to see, but we don't have to. We have tons of stuff that the library has purchased. Robots, maker kits, everything to put in that space. We have a silhouette, we have a heat press, we have a button maker, we have lots of stuff for kids to get active. So that goal is coming to fruition, so we're excited. Hopefully by the fall, I'll be in there and have everything set up for our students. Whether or not we can use it is a different story. So we will look into that. And then below that is our last one, and that is curriculum, instruction, and assessment. When I got here, I said, where's my standards? Nobody knew what standards were for the library, so like every librarian in the state of Wisconsin, I get to pick my standards, which is kind of funny. You're like, what do you use? She uses something, you use something, and everybody kind of does a mix and a match. But they just started they just came out with some new information and technology literacy standards, probably a year and a half to 2 years ago. And I'm in the process of unpacking those and getting those ready. I have identified important standards for my program, but these are district-wide standards. So I'm going to have to begin the process with talking with each grade level to see what standards out of those they use. Because some of them I will never do, and some I know Jeff Millar does, or I know that 7th grade does. So that's going to be a process coming up to go ahead and unpack those standards with all those teachers, so it's going to be time consuming. Any questions?
Where is this webpage?
It is on the school district website.
Good.
Yep, so if you go to the website, it is right under quick links, right there.
Library.
Can you tell I might be in charge of the website?
Awesome.
And we do teach the students that where do we start? CLWarriors.org. Where do we go next? Library. Where do we go? And from pre-K, kindergarten, they go there because if you go under elementary resources, they just click on the elementary button there, and they can see all of the resources that they can use. And we tell them this is a safe place, because when we talk about going on the internet, you can't just click whatever you want. So that these are all accessible, they're all credible, and they're all reliable information. They shouldn't be seeing anything they shouldn't see. So we train them from very early to go on here and use it.
Nice.
And I put a counter at the bottom of it last week, and I think we're up to, I did Google Analytics as well to see what people are using on our school district website and the library website. So in a week I have 144 people on the library website, so it's very exciting. But I also did just a quick blurb for the school website. I did put analytics on there as well, so Google will be telling me when people are going on there and what they're looking at when they're on the website. So if they're looking at sports, or if they're looking at the library or different items on there. So yeah.
Marcy's also one of our 2 IT coordinators in the district, so she kind of oversees the elementary side of it for the most part and provides resources for the elementary and training during in-service, and was instrumental when we transitioned from Google into Google as well.
I do have one more handout. Do you think I should hand it out now? It's just a little, it's just what we did, what we usually do in the library, kind of at the top, some things we do, and then what we did during closure. Because people said, you're a librarian, what did you do? And I actually was more busy.
Sent a lot of emails out.
Oh my gosh.
Listed a lot of Zoom.
Ben's like, you got, that email was pretty good, thanks. So yeah, I was hoping to get back to school to slow down a little bit, but just a little something for you to look at about our closure, so. Yeah, I got an email from your wife, your kids are very busy. You gotta look at all the kids and all the, not everybody likes to read, so you gotta keep them active and moving and, yeah. And I did talk with Monica at TPI, and I said, well, what if in the fall my goals changed due to the COVID and not being able to be in school? So she just told me to tell you that the plan might change a little bit depending on what we do, but there shouldn't be any drastic changes to it. And if there is, I would contact you about that.
Well, Marcy, all I can say
That
is
sounds
wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for doing all that you do for us here.
Your counter will go up the next couple days as we all go dig into it.
Yeah.
We're gonna go get ourselves some books.
Yes. I know, I was looking through so Sora is the app that our kids will use because it will put them at a level. So elementary students will only see elementary and lower. Middle school will see middle school and lower, and high school, so that our kids aren't accessing high school books at the elementary level. So we're getting a couple of the kinks out, but as soon as I get that out, I will email it again to everybody. Or email Kevin.
And so that's just on their devices. We can have it on their Kindles.
You can.
Can we put it on their
Yes,
Kindles?
you can download the Sora app and then just put in our school, and then it's just their Gmail. And every kid K through 12 now has an email. Bo set that up
Okay.
for me. So yeah, they can log in that way.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. And then they can have the public library account to it as well.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
got that.
searchable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Marcy. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve that media plan.
I move to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the 2021 library media plan. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. The next item of business then is the approval of the 2021 WIAA membership.
And that was just a quick one. Each year, WIA requires all school boards to approve their membership so we can participate in the WIA affiliated sports.
I move to approve the WIA membership.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the WIAA membership. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Next item of business is the consideration and
Skip
approval
8.
of employee leave
Table.
request.
So that one we could table. I threw in a closed session item for you guys.
Okay, then the next item of business is the review of the 2019-20 AGR Sage end of the year report.
Okay. It's in your packet, but when you look at it, you'll see it's a little different this time, or, well, maybe it's the same as what we saw last time. It's back behind the budget documents, looks like. So we do a report at the end of first semester, so we did that in February, and then we do one here at the end of the year, second semester, and so we look at our STAR data is what we chose 3-4 years ago for our goal. And so the thing that happened, of course, so we do universal screening for all kids, K through 6, and we do it in September, and we do it in January, and we do it in May, or late April, early May. So obviously, our spring testing did not happen. We did have some younger grades do some sporadic testing. Some of the grades will test like every month or every other month. They'll do it a little bit more often rather than just the 3 times a year. And the reason for that, the younger grades, the test is shorter and it goes quicker. Like for the first grade STAR test, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes. 5th grade STAR test takes them 45 to an hour. So, they're not going to do that to them every month. They try to just do the 3 times a year. But there, as far as any consistency, there was no spring, opportunity to give the spring test. So we got guidance from DPI about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I got an email from them. I was wondering how this was going to work, and they just said, we still want you to present to the board and share and just explain, why you weren't able to do the assessments in the spring, if you weren't able to, and just share what data you do have that you had up until school closed. So the latest data we have is the January data when everyone was tested, which I already shared with you in February, so there's nothing new to look at here. But again, they asked us to still meet the requirement to have, just to share the report with the board. And the other thing they asked us to do is at the bottom, you can see there's a narrative explanation down there where they asked, they asked us to explain why you weren't able to do the spring screening, and then also just give a narrative of your overall experience during the COVID-19 closure. And so we wrote that up, and Mindy Shoup was instrumental. She helped out with, she and I kind of tag teamed it and just tried to write a summary of what, the efforts of the staff were and how the experience was for the kids and the parents and so on. And obviously it was varied by household, and by age, but again, I think that DPI is just interested too in collecting information from all the school districts about what they did and what their experience was like. So that's the part on the bottom that's different. Other than that, our strategy is still class size reduction, and again, there's no assessment data for the spring to share. So, does anybody have any questions?
I'll let you up this time, Chris.
Okay. All right.
All right, well, thanks, Chris. The next item of business then is the approval of the 2021 senior high student handbook.
And so I included the document with the revisions on there and just wanted to see if there were any questions on that. Not a ton of revisions.
Dates and rosters updated at the front end of the handbook. There's first page is all the dates of the highlights of the school year. Then we had a few hires last year that we need to update. Did a typo in one of the sections, the possession of weapons section, and then recommended by the state OSSA attorney is that this includes visual or audio representations of weapons, so pictures. And then just updated the RAP language to reflect what we currently do.
Okay. I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the junior, senior high school handbook.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second to approve the junior, senior high school handbook. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, Nick. The next item of business is discussion of our 2020 annual meeting.
So the past practice has been the fourth Monday of August at 7 p.m. and that falls on August 24th this year. So if you guys are good with
What
having
time
it
did we hold it?
7 p.m.
7?
Yep.
Okay, in past practice, maybe this is past practice, we used to get together a little bit before that.
I think it was because there were 2 school board meetings, and we actually had a meeting that night. Yeah.
Well, we used to do that because then the superintendent at that time would run us through the numbers. No need for that, Josh?
There shouldn't be. We're going to do the preliminary budget again in July. And I gave you guys an created a document just so we're all on the same page as far as like agenda items. So you kind of just what we do each month for you guys so we can all look at when we get to future agenda items. So we'll do July, we'll go through the preliminary budget, and there may be some numbers that change from that in August, or they're most likely will, but even in August now they're saying some of those numbers might not be totally accurate with some of the things that are up in the air. But there's a very good chance that in July the numbers will not reflect exactly what I present in August, but the last couple of years I've shared that with you guys at the meeting.
Say they never do they?
No, but if you guys want to go over it twice, I'd be more than happy to present it
No,
twice to you guys.
I was just wondering if we were
Okay.
going to do that or not.
So totally up to you guys if you want.
I think it sounds good.
Okay. So August 24th, 7 o'clock?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so then we'll move on then to the consideration of future beginning time for school board members.
So you guys asked for this to be put on the board meeting to discuss time. Right now we've been doing 5:30 start time, second Monday of each month. But threw it out there because you guys had wanted to talk about it.
Well, Skip wants to do it at 5 o'clock in the morning.
5:30 in the morning.
I'm up.
I'm good.
No one's mad at anything yet?
Yeah, fresh start of the
I
day.
would be mad
Morning.
Okay, nix that idea then. I'm the one that wanted to talk about that. I just wanted to open up and see if you guys are okay with us continuing to do it this way, or if you'd want to push it back or do it at 5 in the morning like Skip wants to do.
I'm against 5 in the morning.
Me too. But if we wanted to push it back to 6 or 6:30.
What works
So
for
the
you,
reason-
Greg?
The reason that we kicked it to 5:30 was to make it easier on our administration to have to travel back into school for this. So we want to, keep them in mind too. We don't have to circle around what I'm doing.
Well, it was supper, that was the deal for you, right? Supper.
Well, with the kids, yeah. And it's still at the end of my workday. I mean, it's still in my workday, but like I say, it's not about me. It's about these guys traveling in and you guys. So, does anybody have any other thoughts?
I do not care one way or the other. So that's my opinion.
Or maybe we take this opportunity to switch this to a Zoom meeting?
No.
Start doing it at 3:30 right when these guys get the kids kicked out the door.
Would 6 o'clock
Would
help
6
you?
be better? Yeah.
But it would be better for me, but there's more. We don't want to do it around me.
I would go much later than that personally, because then it really runs late and really divides end of work day and meeting. So I don't think most of them go home, right?
Yeah, and once a month, I'm fine with whatever you guys want to do.
We don't have to kick it back at all, because I guess 6 is going to be the same for me, really.
What was it before? 7? 7:30?
6:30.
6:30.
6:30.
So we wouldn't want to do a morning meeting then? We don't have our schedules jive for a morning meeting.
I need to be done by 8.
Pretty tough for community members to come then too. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, should we just keep it the same then?
I don't mind it.
Yep, sounds good to me, I'm good. Okay. Next item of business then is the discussion of debt refinancing.
Okay, so she's going to be, so we're looking to refinance. I've got some, I feel like this COVID stuff has literally touched every aspect of the school. So has impacted interest rates. So Ms. Karnick and I have been working with Baird. Lisa Voisin is going to be on at 6:30 to Zoom with us to talk about potentially refinancing Fund 38 and 39 with us. So we can table that one as well. So if you want to go back up to the first one, the review of,
19, yep, go
yeah,
ahead.
does that work?
Josh, yep.
Okay, so just wanted to kind of touch base and share with you guys what we've been doing in the district and then kind of future plans. I know there's a lot of questions out there with the future planning. Right now it really continues to be, just a kind of a wild ride with recommendations from the CDC, DPI. Now it's changing from directives to now recommendations, and then CDC, they're kicking it over to the local DHS. So really, from this point forward, it's going to be writing up proposals with the local DHS. So in our situation, it's Polk County. So I gave you guys a kind of a re-entry. This is just notes, and then I gave you the interim DPI guidance. DPI is going to be putting out recommendations by June 30th, so it should be coming mid to end June. We should get I've seen a rough draft of it, and it's a very extensive document. It's just pretty massive. So my plan or my recommendation for our school, because I think we've been very lucky where we have not been, I don't want to sound naive, but we have not been impacted like a Madison or Milwaukee area, which I really feel for those areas. But then this has also been just a political nightmare to navigate as well. We talk about putting, safety measures up, and there's going to be 50% of people that are upset, and then 50% that aren't. And if you don't do it, then it's going to be the opposite. So what I would like as an approach would be we develop a steering committee. We bring in multiple staff members. We have some board members on that steering committee, and then we kind of go forward by creating a plan that we pitch to Polk County as these proposals that we get ready to reopen. I would like to take the approach of just common sense. Let's look at our problem. What could we do? What are the variables that we have control over, and focus on those. And then if DPI or CDC or whoever comes in and gives us a directive to shut down, then obviously we do that. But until then, we just try to create, look at the variables that we have control over and set up some things that we can do to make sure that everybody's healthy and everybody's safe. Some of the recommendations, we've been taking on phone calls from parents and with a lot of concerns because some of the recommendations from CDC are not realistic, and in their defense, they're looking at it from a safety standpoint, not from an educator standpoint, which obviously we can understand. But Examples are, put desks in the gym and then teach in the gymnasium 6 feet apart, which in theory sounds great, but if you've taught before, it's hard enough to keep one classroom focused and on task, let alone multiple, teachers. Also, multiple day schedules, multiple bus routes. Like in theory, those all sound good, but the reality is then we would have to have a whole cleaning crew come in, because it'd be pointless to do every other day schedule in the district if we didn't have a cleaning crew come in and clean, like a deep clean, like a summer clean, because then the whole intent is to limit the amount of exposure. But if you have A schedule, kids coming in, you clean as best you can, and then B schedule, kids coming in, you won't get to do a deep clean, in my opinion, like you would. It would take a couple days to really clean the entire building to limit that exposure. Same with the bus route. The CDC's recommendation is 1 kid per seat, every other seat. Again, in theory, sounds really good because you have kids, social distancing. But in reality, and we have 1 hour bus routes, but in reality, we would have to, do a route, get someone in there, clean everything, do another route. By the time we got all the kids here, the day would be darn near over, So I think we can focus on, we've already purchased some hand sanitizer, things that we do have control over. Okay, we don't have to have all the kids down in the commons to eat snack together. We can have snack in the classroom. We can, when they enter the room, we can have all kids wash their hands. We can have all staff wash their hands as soon as they come into those buildings. So as a steering committee, look at the CDC requirements and then focus on the things that we have control over and put procedures in place for that. And I think if we do that and develop a plan to pitch to Polk County to make sure that we're covered legally, talk to our attorneys, talk to our insurance carrier, and then work with our local DHS, I feel like we can put something in place where we have a proposal where we can make sure that we're keeping people safe and healthy as best as we can. My biggest fear really is not necessarily the fall, but it's more December, January. Once the influenza, we had an influx of influenza A come in this year, and determining, if you look at the symptoms of COVID, it's pretty much everything on the website, the MD, when you search. You could literally have everything from, rashing on your toes to, by the time you're done, you might have, I don't want to sound whatever, but lung cancer or coronavirus. It's that many symptoms, and it's tough so I think that's going to be tough to navigate. So with that said, I think we are going to be communicating with the teaching staff that we want to we do have to focus on a blended kind of a blended model where we have the kids start in the fall, and then if we do have to have a shutdown due to like an influx of sicknesses or if we do have a case, we would have to shut down short term, a couple days, get a deep clean going, try to figure out where it came from, communicate with those families, and then get everybody back. So the teaching staff will know in the fall that we are looking to do that. So it'll look different than like the short-term closure or the long-term closure that we had from March 17th on. And we've already communicated to the teaching staff in our meetings that this will, during those short-term closures, we will want to focus on the standards and still deliver that instruction in that method, but there'll be a little bit more rigor. Our staff did a phenomenal job, but in reality they had 2 days to put something together while teaching, so the rigor, like anybody in that position, just wasn't there. We couldn't have expected them to do that, but many did really do an awesome job and had even some instruction during that time and lessons that were phenomenal considering the situation. So these are just notes that I've been putting together during my meeting. So the re-entry, we kind of have to have 2 different plans. We have to have a re-entry plan for July and August. Stuff that takes place during the month of July and then the month of August. And focus on facilities, building and grounds. I kind of wanted to just get your guys' pulse on what you felt was appropriate for July and August, and then we also need a plan in place that will involve multiple proposals for the fall. And procedures actually in place. You know, what are we going to do if staff gets sick? What are we going to do if students get sick? How are the lunch periods going to look? How are recesses going to look? Some of those things, like I said, that we have control over. I asked Mr. Rosine to come in just in case you guys had questions regarding extracurriculars or any sporting events. You know, we're obviously following CDC and waiting for WIA guidance, but a lot of this is now, like I said, it's going to be local control. And I'm meeting on June 23rd with all of the Polk County superintendents because we want to try our best to align with the counties. Because even something as simple as like graduation, you saw one school do something different, and it can kind of cause havoc pretty quickly when one district does something different than the rest. So, going to try to align our best, but we're unique too. We have 4 counties, you know, that we service in Clear Lake. The Northwest, they had a Northwest region, I think they called it Northwest Region Committee with 4 counties to try to align guidance, and they disbanded because they couldn't come to an agreement and they couldn't agree upon the recommendations and the guidance within those 4 counties. So it is going to be definitely tricky, and I do know, you know, I'm not naive. We're going to be doing stuff a little bit different from surrounding districts, but as best we can, we want to try to align within the, you know, from the school districts around us. So
still anticipating a summer school in August?
that was one other thing, you know, and that right now everybody's doing kind of drastically different things. I believe Hudson is doing an in-person summer school in July. Others have I think Amory canceled. There's others around us that have canceled. Right now I'm leaning towards not doing a summer school, just more from a logistic standpoint and trying to get that all organized. And you know, we surveyed our teachers, and we had individuals that would be willing to do it, but to get things in place because of what the safety piece and the health piece, it's not easy, and the transportation is the biggest variable of that. Trying to get, you know, something in place where we feel confident that, you know, no one's going to get sick. So really, I guess my intention with putting this out there, because I want it to be, you know, come from the board, and I think a steering committee is our best bet to include, you know, the people at the ground level. But I would like, you know, 1 or 2 board members to be a part of that steering committee. And just wanted to open it up to see kind of where everybody was feeling, because this really is, like I said, it's a political nightmare to navigate, and there's nobody in the middle. It doesn't seem like it's just one end of the spectrum or the other as far as where people fall regarding the virus itself. So, thoughts?
Good luck.
I like the idea of a committee, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the best way to go.
Is there any way to get a couple parents on it too? I don't know how you would choose that.
Yeah.
But maybe that perspective would be good.
How about thoughts on July and August, a month? This is, you know, because my intention would be to start to open the doors and start to have, you know, I think obviously we'd go through kind of determining what is essential, not essential, and how we go about that. I think it'd be smart on our end to start opening the doors and having things start kind of, I don't want to say getting back to normal, because I know people are getting frustrated with that phrase, but I think it would be silly, and I don't think we'd be doing our due diligence if we kept everything locked down and then just open the doors wide open in September. I don't.
And you're talking faculty, staff, not athletic stuff when you're talking August.
I'm talking everything. You know, July and August. July we don't have. You know, the only thing that we'd have, you know, potentially weight room. We've already been looking at like the community, what CDC has put out as far as making sure things are, you know, they've opened gyms and weight rooms, and we try to put something in place if they give us the guidance on how to do that. August, football, cross country, all the sports start early August. I think August 4th is when.
So after June 30th, you could do whatever you want, or
Yes.
minus Polk County or not minus Polk County, but what Polk County recommends then.
Yep. If we go against what the recommendations of and this is where it gets tricky, because if we go as long as we're following the local DHS, which is Polk County, which may contradict what CDC is recommending, then they're
Insurance is
saying
okay.
liability-wise, we're good to go. If we go against, what the local county is saying, then we're putting ourselves really in a tough spot where, I would imagine our legal counsel would say, don't do it. Our insurance carrier has already communicated that to us as far as the orders. But now, after the Supreme Court overturned, now it's definitely a little bit more tricky to navigate. So the CDC, all of the recommendations in the CDC go back to follow your local DHS and work with your local DHS
What
to.
about DDI? Do they have much for suggestions yet? Or
No, I mean they're putting the guidance document by June 30th. But again, that's still saying, work with your local county DHS to put things in place.
So does our local county know that they have that responsibility?
They do, yeah. And our Polk County has been phenomenal. They've been involved in a lot of meetings. Brian Kazmarski has actually facilitated a lot of the meetings, even within the CES11 group. And then the other local DHS, or the other DHSs like St. Croix, Pierce, some of those, they've been involved as well. So they are all aware of that now it's going towards, that's the county's say, and they're going to be hopefully providing guidance on like what the proposals will even look like. Some of the CDC, I don't have it actually in here, I thought I did, but the CDC put out recommendations like even during this time, like the capacity of a building, like we had to look up the square footage of each building and how many people we could have in each building, and right now we're totally good. But then you also have like the mass gathering, the 25% of capacity within one room area, 4 individuals per 1,000 square feet.
So we're talking about precautions and getting that, through our local health department. But I think the other part of this is when we want to decide what we want to do after the 30th of June is how are we going to look at this? The precautions we can put in place, but what about our reaction when it shows up? Are we found it? Okay, we're going to try to identify, do some testing. How long does it take for tests to come back? How are we going to treat it? Are we going to shut down and try to keep the spread from going on? And how much precaution do we put into trying to prevent that spread? And if it reoccurs, what are our action plans? That's kind of all the stuff that I think that we not only have to have in place with this committee in the fall, but I think to have some of that stuff in place for July and August as well. Because if we start our stuff up and this shows up, we need to identify what our actions are going to be.
Yeah.
Right?
So if we're not opening up for summer school, technically the soft rollout is fact, and teachers can come back, athletics will slowly start.
I think
do we have
July
the
is
green light?
teachers, so that's pretty easy. Is
Yeah,
that
I
right,
mean,
what we're looking
yeah.
at?
We don't have any teachers contracted. They're not contracted to be here in
Right.
July, so most of it is
Come to their
is-
rooms, close it up.
Yeah,
get it
weight room,
ready.
mostly
Weight
connected to
room.
extracurricular stuff.
It is.
So my recommendation would be, building and grounds, open up anything that's tied to affiliated with the school. Anything not affiliated with the school, we remain, closed at this time. So we slowly open things like, if we feel like the weight room's kind of a bad example because it's not ideal for
Track, people
something
ask
like the
about the
virus.
track.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I don't know. I think we should be inclined to try and open things up, but like I say, I think we should really find out what our action plans are going to be if it does show up. You know what I mean? How long does it take to get a test back?
Right now, it's almost immediate. We had it's drastically different from the beginning. When this first started, they were not having anybody even come into the local hospital to be tested, and now, like, we just had a staff member just within the last week. He called me up and said, "Hey, you got a sore throat. What do you want me to do?" And every decision that I've made, I don't want to be put in a position where I'm making it. So we've followed what the local health department has said. So in this situation, I said, "Well, I want you to call the hospital, give them the symptoms, and then we'll take their directives, and they'll let us know what. So in that situation, didn't have any symptoms of the coronavirus, but still had him come in, tested him for strep and the coronavirus, and knew within, I think it was within 12 hours. So they're definitely doing a lot more testing now. I feel like that piece of the plan is going to be a lot easier. The if something happens, because that's going to be almost out of our control. We're going to be following the directive of the hospital or the local, the county health department of we have a staff member that's been confirmed tested. We're shutting down. We're closing. How many days do we need to close? What do we need to do? We've already purchased all of the cleaning material that specifically kills the coronavirus. So I really think that if that were the case, or if we had a student, that will be all directed by either the local, the Polk County Health Department, or the hospital will be telling us. And then they'll tell us how long that individual will have to stay quarantined, how long we'll have to stay closed, and how long we can get it cleaned and then get everybody back in.
Or aren't there isn't your wife taking temperatures of people as they come into work or whatever? I don't know if that's throwing
All part
ideas
of the
out there.
discussion, yeah.
That was brought up from the I think it was the CDC as well as one of those. Now they're saying that probably isn't the
Don't have a
smartest.
temperature necessarily.
Well, one, we even to order all of the thermometers, but now they're saying that the temperature isn't necessarily, there's so many variables with the temperature. It can be you could get increased temperature from stress. So then you would have to implement all the procedures with individuals with temperature, a spike in temperature. So that was one thing that they, that was a couple weeks ago that they talked about, you certainly can do, but might not be,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so right now, July, it'd be easy to open the track area. Are you looking for that guidance right now for July? Are we opening the weight room? Can you be in the weight room but not the locker rooms? Is that what you're trying to figure out now for July?
Well, yeah, and I don't mean to be honest, I just wanted to get a pulse, and if we came in here and everyone, all 5 of you were like, absolutely not, we're not opening up, then, but what I'm looking for now is just to get a pulse of where you guys are at, and then make the decisions as a steering committee with the involvement of, 1 or 2 of you guys as board members, and then bring in staff, teaching staff, support staff, maybe some parent representatives.
I think
Yeah,
you
I'd love
have
to
to
be on
start
that
opening
committee.
up to see how this is going to work, and trial and error even some of the policies that you put into place or guidelines.
So do we have the anyway, I'd like to be on the committee, but do we have the flexibility to change the months that we have school? We got to kind of plan that this is going to happen. It'd be nice if Polk County told us how long we'd have to be closed down for, what the steps would be when we find somebody that's going to have COVID in our district, so we knew ahead of time to warn the teachers, which you kind of already have, be ready to go online and be rigorous. But if we're worried about December, January, maybe let's not go to school those months, and let's take them away from this and rearrange our school year. Is that?
I just think you gotta wait to see when it hits. I don't think we know that yet. And it could not hit, it could hit in November. I just don't think you make that call now that these months are gonna be closed.
I'm just asking if we have that levity, because if we did, then we'd say, okay, if we're gonna close for a month or whatever, if that ends up happening, well, school's going from June to July, and teachers understand that that's gonna happen. Your year's gonna get switched up, or not. I'm just throwing things out there, I guess.
Yeah.
Have some schools changed their start date? Have they moved them up?
I think some are, but
So you have to petition to do that?
we do, and we're looking at having a calendar committee this month and looking at increasing the instructional minutes. Obviously the teachers have a contract, so it's during a certain time. There have been a lot of waivers. The DPI has been unbelievable with waiving, which obviously, you guys did the E and the civics test and the instructional minutes this year. So I think if that were the case next year, I could see DPI intervening and doing that again with that. But I know some universities have gone towards looking at October and November, and I just feel like if we make that decision now, you might potentially have a closure during that time, and then you might have a longer period where you don't have kids in school. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think that our best bet is to have kids start in September and kind of move forward with a plan with, Polk County's guidance, obviously. And then if we do run into a situation where we have the virus in this area, then we do close, and then we come up with a game plan if it has to be long-term, or, I see more like a short-term, like I said, like a couple days or even a week of closing everything down and getting it cleaned up.
Let me say something, just too, I think the hoped for idea too is that if we do have to close down for a shorter period of time, 2 weeks or a month or whatever, that we can be better prepared this time around, so that, send home technology with elementary kids this time too, and have more things in place so that there can be more, I don't want to say rigorous, but more education going on that we can really kind of hold kids a little bit more accountable for. It's pretty tough to hold things accountable right now with the way we walked out the door with 2 days to prep. We can have a little bit more stuff in place, so we're hoping that those times away from school, if we have to have them, will be more productive, I guess.
And I don't think we can ask teachers to do that for 2 weeks off, and then all of a sudden, now we want you to teach in June too. I mean, that's a whole extra month on their contracts.
Yeah.
So we gotta be really cautious of what their contracts say, or bus driver contracts say. And they're driving food, but now we want them to drive in June. I think you gotta look at all of those things too.
Yeah, there's a lot of considerations, but the voice that I'm coming from is, I don't want my poor wife to have to teach these kids for 2 months.
Right.
Right.
And I think I speak for more than one set of parents in the district. It's hard, and especially if things are ramped up a little bit, oh boy. I'm gonna have to close the farm down.
Well,
But I can
and I don't
say-
think ramped up. I think more just hopefully supports in place and more like clear expectations for
Right.
everybody of what is expected or what can and can't be done.
Because unfortunately, we have to be ready too for not just virus of having an influx in with kids or staff, but what if we only have a certain amount of substitute teachers, or we only have a certain amount of drivers. So there's a lot of variables that could quickly impact our decision to close school, and it might not necessarily be a virus with the student population or the teaching population, but we may just not have enough sub coverage or enough drivers to transport, and then we'll be figuring out that too. Lori, did you have
We got
something?
6:30, we got the call.
Oh, 6:30, good call, thank you.
Well, I think you guys are right, though, to be being prepared for a month off.
I think for
whatever.
now, follow the percentage rules if that's what the counties are saying. And if the weight room's open, maybe don't open the locker room for showering or whatever, just go home and shower. I don't know if there's spotting rules for the weight room or whatever, you guys know all that, but follow what the county's saying for percentage of use.
Yeah, there are recommendations out by NFHS, Federation of High School Athletics. They have different phases. For weight room, okay, what does it look like in this phase?
Right.
And athletics in the same
Right.
boat.
And I'm assuming then insurance would follow those recommendations as long as it's kind of within the county parameters too.
How many employees in our district are kind of compromised where they gotta be very careful not to get exposed to the virus? So we must kind of have an idea how many people that we have in that capacity.
Yeah, we had a couple that were, concerned due to some underlying health issues.
Right. Well, that's better than 10.
Well, we don't know, it's a HIPAA.
No, I suppose.
You don't know that.
Is that recommendations like for weight room, does that change like everything else has been changing daily or? Is there something out now?
Every 6 hours.
No, but it still goes off our county health,
Right.
and like Josh said, putting a plan together and giving it to them, say, what do you think, get the approval to go. I know coaches, everybody's just anxious to go and having plans in place, especially for July 1, coaches contact, there's summer leagues out there that they're gonna want answers to.
I think it's gonna run into
Well,
an
really
issue
nice to have you there.
with attendance? Like, maybe not so much in the volleyball, I'm thinking volleyball, we're not gonna fill the gym, but.
You know, I don't know what what the admission is gonna look like, what they're going to do. There's so many underlying issues, even, okay, so let's say that we don't have school, we forfeit. Now you start forfeiting, you can't make up football games.
Yeah.
Now you get schools that are not gonna make playoffs because they have forfeit games or vice versa. They're gonna make the playoffs and they wish they would, or.
Yeah.
You're
You're gonna have some weird brackets.
like volleyball, you can make up games, but football's, that's just.
Yeah, so they just don't make
Because you need so many
one
days off between events, and you can't just, schedule multiple events like you could for some of those other sports. So it'll be interesting. We might be in a situation where football doesn't go and cross country and volleyball do, or, we just don't know
Yeah.
yet.
I'm just thinking even like the seating, like it's just gonna take a lot of planning.
Yeah, far as attendance.
Yeah, just.
Hey, Lisa, can you hear us?
I can. You can hear me?
All right, yeah. I'll give you a shot of the room here.
Oh, good job. Good job, you guys. 60.
All right, so we are ready for you. If you guys,
Okay.
the paperwork in the board packet is the one that's colored. Is the very first part of what Lisa's going to be presenting on.
Back behind what Chris presented. Back behind the, one more after that one, there you go.
So what I'll do is I'll just keep it on me, and then when somebody has a question, I'll swing the computer around for you to look at them. How about that?
It's fine. I'm good. Good. And I apologize. I meant to send you a really cool chart that shows where interest rates have gone in the last 20 to 30 years, and so I'll just give you a summary of that. I started at Baird in 1988, and schools were borrowing at about 8% for interest, and right now schools are borrowing between 2 and 3%. So interest rates have hit since it's the lowest in recorded history. We've never seen interest rates this low. So I've been doing a lot of this discussion with boards about refinancing because it might make some sense for you guys to look at refinancing some of your debt. So what I think I want to do, well, let's just go through the bullet points first, then I'll go to the kind of all the numbers, and I'm going to go back to the timeline.
Okay. And before you go, Lisa, I just want to let everybody know that you've been working with the district since our refinance, since our remodel, right? The referendum in 2013-14?
Yeah, probably even before that. I've been with Baird for 32 years. And I also was on a school board, so I know what it's like to be kind of on your side of the table. So I try to keep everything really high level and like really, what do you guys need to know about what I'm talking about? So that's why I just put these bullet points together. So again, you have 3 loans outstanding right now, and they're all different, but they could all be refinanced into one. One is a taxable bond from 2006, and I'm pretty sure Baird, I worked on that one. What that was for was it was a loan that you took out that paid off the Wisconsin retirement system, so all the municipalities in the state owed the WRS money when they all came under one umbrella, and so the districts were borrowing to pay off the WRS because you guys were paying them 8%, and we were able to borrow it lower than that, so we saved a ton of money by paying off the WRS. So that's what that loan is. There's not much left on that one. That's and Fund 38 just means it's being paid for with your operating dollars. It's not a separate tax levy. So if we can refinance and save money, save operating dollars. The second borrowing listed there is again Fund 38. A little bit different. It's when Act 32 came into play in the state of Wisconsin and schools were borrowing for energy projects. So you borrowed to pay for energy efficiency projects the good part about that is you don't have to use operating dollars to pay that back. It's a separate tax levy above the revenue limit, above your operating limit. And that was what districts like. They could get all these energy projects done and not have to use their operating dollars to pay for it, to pay it back. Now that's gone away. So there's some talk that it might be coming back, but for now that's gone away. But that's what that loan is. And then the third one listed is Fund 39. And how, as a school board member, how I remembered that was it's above 38. You're levying above the revenue limit to pay that back. So you went to voters, probably back in 2013, and asked them to borrow money to fund a facility project. And that's what that loan is. That loan you're paying back on an annual basis again, above the revenue limit, so it's not hitting your operating dollars, and it's an annual principal and interest payment. You see the words callable? That's synonymous with prepayable. So the first loan there listed is callable anytime. You can prepay that anytime. The second two have call dates, one in 2023 and one in 2024. We can still refinance those. And what you do is you borrow at this lower interest rate, you put money into an escrow account, and then the escrow pays off, or the bank, or the escrow account, pays those loans off in 23 and 24. So again, all three of those debt issues could be refinanced. They're at interest rates which range from 3% to 6.4%. Current market interest rates for a loan for Clear Lake is right around 2.1%. So the savings that we're looking at right now is about $275,000 for the district if we refinance. We have a database of all school districts in Wisconsin, all of their debt, and I get a report that lists every single school district's debt, and when it's green, I call, I'm on the phone, and that you guys showed up as green, it makes sense to refinance, or there are some savings here if we refinance. It's a little bit time sensitive. I just did a refinancing last week for Norwalk, Ontario School District, and we set it up in February, and it was time because of COVID and interest rates spiked, we didn't get it done, so we had to wait. But we ended up, getting it done. So this, we have to be flexible in terms of timing for refinancing. Are there any questions on that so far? Just the debt issues that we're looking at? Sure.
My question is $245,000 over the term of all three of these loans,
275.
or $275,000 savings. Is that over the term of all three of these loans?
I'm going to have.
So is that the,
That's for everything. Yeah.
Try again.
So the savings of $275,000, is that over the term of all three of these loans, or is that a yearly number, or what number?
Oh, that's a total.
That's a total, okay.
so ballpark, you had said, I think when you met with us, wasn't it $8,000 to $10,000 a year is what we would be saving? And then the total, which would be, was it 2033 was the end of our debt? Would be $275,000 total.
Yes, but that already changed, Josh.
Okay.
When we talked, there were only two debt issues that made sense to refinance, but after we talked, 2 days later, the third debt issue was put into the mix. So, it's very dynamic, it keeps changing. But yes, $275,000 total over the life of the debt.
That 2.1?
That is direct taxpayer savings. So it's reducing your tax levy. A little bit of that first issue, that Fund 38 taxable from 06, that'll be savings in your operating, like I said before.
And then another question here was Skip.
That 2.1, does that change daily, I imagine?
Yeah.
Does the 2.1% change daily?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do we have
Back
the
to
opportunity?
Greg has a question.
Do we have the opportunity to lock that in?
Do we have the opportunity to lock that in?
I am working that, I want to get your approval to move forward tonight, and we are working fast to get it locked in. So there's several steps that we have to do on our end, but as soon as we get your approval, we'll move as quickly as we can to get that locked in. So the formal approval from the board would be at your July board meeting. I know, Josh, when you and I talked about the possibility of a special board meeting. We don't think that's necessary. We think we can lock in, and the lender will hold the rate until you approve it at the July board meeting.
So Lisa, just so I'm straight, so I know too, so in order to lock it in, they have to approve it tonight, correct? And that gives you the ability to lock?
Yes, I just need verbal, I don't need any formal action.
Oh, you don't, okay.
No, I just need the board to say, yes, move forward, let's try to get this locked in.
And then it's a formal vote in July.
And then a formal vote in July?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be after we've locked in, we've got the savings, we've done the refinancing, and I will be at that board meeting to review just exactly what it was that we refinanced.
So
And
how,
more detail, and it'll be more easier to understand.
how would you like us to do this? Would you like our board president to just poll each individual so that you hear it, or how would you like it to happen?
I mean, that would be fine, or just, yeah, that would be fine.
Does that work?
Ooh, one more question.
Oh, another question, Maddie.
Is there closing cost, and would that come out of operating, or well, how does that work for school financing?
Good question. So the 275 is net of all fees, so that's district savings, the 275 that I have here. The fees are already built into the refinancing. There's some legal fees, there's Baird's fee, there's, might be, there's not gonna be a bond rating, no, I think that's it, just legal and Baird.
And we could take that from operating?
Nope, it's already built into the refinancing.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, yeah, as long as the fees are in line, I suppose this is kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
All right, well then I'll just gladly pull the board to that. Christie, what do you think?
Yep.
Ryan?
Yes.
Skip?
Sure.
And Nettie?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
I don't know if you caught that, but it's unanimous.
Okay, great. So, the next 2 pages were just way more detail of each debt issue and the payback and the term. And I think what I'm gonna do is summarize the savings when it's all locked in and done, because it's hard to, I don't know how much of each debt issue we'll be able to refinance. We may drop it down to 2 of them, not 3. We just have to be flexible. We're gonna my goal is to maximize the savings to the district. That's my goal. So it might be, I don't think it would go lower than 275.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you,
Yes,
Lisa,
thank you.
appreciate it. Do you need anything else from us, Lisa?
I don't. I will continue. I have everything from you. Thank you, Josh, for responding so quickly.
I have one more
with the
question.
enrollment data and all the other stuff that we needed. We'll get to work and I will report back.
All right, one more question, Lisa, sorry.
So if interest rates go to like 0.5%, can we refinance in 2 years again? Yeah.
Yes, that's the approach we're taking is we're going to have the new bonds callable anytime. So say the new loan is locked in at 2.1. What I've been doing is giving districts the ultimate flexibility. You can prepay it at any time. And so if interest rates go to 0.5%, you can refinance again.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Lisa, appreciate you joining us.
No problem. We'll talk soon.
Okay, sounds good, have a good evening.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
I know. It's a good time again.
Okay.
All right, well, that was.
That's great.
Good news for the district.
Yeah. So sorry, this meeting's kind of been bouncing around, but can we go back to just kind of the planning process with the reopening and kind of plan with proposals to the county? Do you guys have any questions for any of the admin team?
So you're kind of looking for us to say whether we think it's wise or not.
Yeah, with kind of my plan with the steering committee, if you guys like that idea, as far as, that out of the steering committee will come the proposals to the county, and then working with the county, which is the recommendation from CDC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the steering committee is not the recommendation from the CDC, but the working with your local DHS.
Yeah, sounds good,
Yes,
Josh.
go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, start opening up.
Did you guys have anything that you wanted to add regarding the reopening, or?
Dale, what are the facts around sports opening up? You see on Facebook, WIA said football is going to happen. What's the actual story behind all of that?
That was taken out of context.
I thought so.
With an interview. I mean, they're anticipating, as long as there isn't this huge outbreak and the situation doesn't change, I think they're anticipating a full start to all of the sports, but there's no guarantees, obviously. But that's their anticipation. They're still, I know this week they had a couple different, WIA had a couple different meetings with some sports advisory committees and some coaches associations to try and get feedback and try when they're developing the plan. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be tough because, like Josh says, a lot of it's gonna ended up being local control. But when you start putting the whole puzzle together, it's gonna get a little tricky with you got state tournament.
Like even the seasons are kind of
qualifications, and it's not gonna be easy. But we have not gotten any firm direction or from them at all.
And I don't know if there will be. I mean, it really sounds like the push is going to be local control. And as you can imagine, every area, every school district is different. So you have the political pressures of certain organizations and
Social
sorts.
media. Once that message is out there and people are excited about it,
Yeah.
to combat that message.
So,
Yeah, it's like I said, it's gonna be tricky because it'll get pretty heated with decision making, and unfortunately, because
Like
everybody's
schedules, how do you even do that?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. That's been the answer for a while.
You might need your own steering committee.
yeah.
I think you're looking at it.
So then the next step will be, form the committee, and then work this month to create a plan for July and August. With obviously the intention is to open the doors up as much as we can with using common sense and trying to have a collective voice of all the different stakeholders that we do have, like the teaching, admin, some board members, some community members, while making sure that we're looking at the safety and the well-being of our students and staff, at the forefront, which sometimes can get, that with the political piece, I think is going to be tricky. But I think I do think if we use, like I said, common sense and just look at what do we have control over, what do we don't have control over, is this going to compromise our students, is it not? And then because of our local area and right now, currently the situation as far as the virus, I think we are sitting in a much better position than a lot of districts are, and we're fortunate to live where we live. So, do you guys want to decide tonight as far as who would like to be on the committee? I know Greg just said you would. And we certainly could have, more than 3. The only thing with that, then it would be a quorum, and then we'd have to post every time we meet. But we could certainly do that if you guys all want to be involved. But my thought would be kind of 2 to have kind of express the voice of the entire board. That way we don't have to post every time we meet.
You can't group that.
Well, I don't have to either. I mean, if you guys want to do it.
No.
When are you thinking the meetings are going to be? During the day, most likely?
I think the July and August is going to be. I don't think it's going to be as intense, involved as the August. We're going to look at. To be honest, I hate to say it, but summer school I don't see happening. But I do see some of the, like I said, like the weight room and some stuff that we have, going on during July and August.
Right.
Like we do have I'm trying to think, guys, help me out. What do we have going on in July and August?
I'm talking like steering committee meetings, like,
Are they
are they gonna be during the day? Some of us work during the day, would we have to take off work? If we were saying one of the board members, is that, can you get off any time during the day to come to a steering
Yeah, but
committee?
if one of you guys want to be there, by all means, you guys can do it. It's just-
I'd be on it, I'd be okay. This is on Friday
Or can it be a group effort, whoever
Well,
can
yeah.
make
Like we
it?
rotate somebody?
Right.
Yeah.
Talk
And we
about
could
it
just
when
have
you
two,
know.
kind of 2 slotted spots for
Yeah.
board members.
There you go.
Does that
Yeah,
work?
do that.
Okay.
You show up
And
the
if,
third,
say-
you leave.
And say if three happen to show up, that wouldn't have to be posted then, right? If we
Yes.
just- if we
3 would be a quorum, yeah.
I know, but if we accidentally were all there,
But if I can't
That
text,
doesn't have to
ask
be
if you're
posted,
coming,
right?
and then, no,
I
you
think it
can't do
would
that.
because if we go to a basketball game and we're all 5 there, that's not a quorum.
But it's not
But I
about a
think
school
if you're
meeting.
making decisions, like if we're making decisions and discussing board, matter, I think then it would be.
I think we need to play it safe and just put 2 there, so we don't have to post anything.
And then we can decide when it happens, who wants to go.
Paper, scissors, who gets to?
Okay.
Draw straws.
Okay, now, just kind of stuff that we've been doing in the district as far as kind of a response. I know the end of the year has come to a close, so I'm just going to turn it over to Mr. Gillis and Mr. Peterson to share a little bit of what's been going on the last couple of weeks with closing out the district, or closing out the year, school year, I should say.
I can go first if I mean, I've got less to talk about, I don't know, graduation and so on, but the last parts of May, we had, scheduled, and, some of you have elementary students, so you probably got sick of emails as well from me saying, opportunity to come in, everybody got used to the Thursday, Friday thing, Thursday 3 to 6, Friday, I think 7 to 10. Everybody got used to that, but, we had just every 2 weeks, we tried to set up a session to pick up the next round of homework, schoolwork, and then drop things off. And then, we planned for the mid-May, I think it was the 15th, to have, everything turned in, knowing full well that we would not get everything, trying to give ourselves that extra 2 weeks to, and then again, another opportunity on the 29th. And I think overall, we did pretty well. I mean, a lot of stuff came in between the 15th and the 29th, additional textbooks and additional library books. I think an extra, probably another 200-300 library books came in. That's, again, so what we said, we're down to 245 library books still out at the elementary school. So, which is pretty, but when we consider we had 1,100 checked out the day we closed, that's pretty impressive, really. So, and impressive that we got that many books out. But so a lot, the focus on getting the stuff back in, and then also the focus was scheduling staff and trying to figure out when to allow staff to come in and how restrictive to be. Didn't want the building full of people, but I wanted to let people have the opportunity to come in and close out the school year and get the end of the year tasks kind of done. Figuring out some of the actual computer logistics of the grading, with new grades. Mona did a lot of nice work on that, and Kristen, the high school. Just thinking off the top of my head, some of the main things that sort of occupied our time here the last few weeks, and then high school graduation. Speak to high school stuff, I guess, graduation. So.
Okay. I've mixed in a bunch of thank yous because this has been notoriously crazy time for our school. Mr. Osmond for all the tech support and keeping our Chromebooks going, and a kid has a problem at home and he set up a time for the kid to drop it off and get him another one, and just phenomenal support that way. Mr. Crawford for the work he's done, and Mrs. Meyer basically does elementary. Mr. Crawford's mostly over here with the IT support for staff. Just all the tech resources the two of them have been creating for teachers to roll out, get them trained up on Google Classroom. I especially want to recognize what the faculty's done. They've done an amazing job adapting in a very short period of time to getting stuff going out on Chromebooks. Of course, the rigor, if you will, or the intensity of it was all over the place, but at least we were able to roll out on a very short period of time. We're talking about some people who just started using Google Classroom this year. One of the things that I've worked hard on since I've been here in this building is moving to Google, and then once we got to Google was providing the PD and the time to learn how to do it. This year I asked all the faculty members to have at least one class on Google Classroom starting last fall. Who would have known that it turned into what it turned into, but at least they all had one. They knew how to find it, they knew how to start it, they knew how to put kids in it. So that was really serendipitous timing. And then even just ramping up things like we used to do monthly faculty meetings, and now we're doing them every week via Zoom. So that's been a big transition for them from home. Some of them dealing with their own connection issues at home, and they've really done a nice job overcoming that. Let's see. As far as some of the things that we were doing, some students struggle with connectivity, so some teachers were actually doing double duty, creating some paper stuff for kids. I had one teacher actually delivering them to those students' homes. Mrs. Rubel and Mrs. Carlson were hosting virtual study halls where they would just go on Zoom and they'd be available and kids could log in and ask for help if they needed it, and find out what other kids needed. The CTE folks were providing activities and project ideas for at home and some videos that were interesting for kids. Their curriculum being more hands-on, it's so much harder to deliver that curriculum from the computer. And then I had faculty members just sending home messages to their students saying, hey, we care about you, we're still here, we want you to know that we're concerned about how you're doing, and meeting kids' needs that way as well, the social emotional piece. As far as wrapping up the year, I've been sharing some Google resources with teachers. I just shared another one today. I belong to the Google Teacher Tribe, and they had a whole session on how to close out your Google Classroom for the year and how to roll things over as a template for next year as a resource, to help them get ramped up again this fall for when we need to use that tool whenever the need should arise. Just to echo Mrs. Peterson, or Mr. Peterson, Mrs. Lavery and Mona were just phenomenal, helping us bring closer to Skyward. It's just been such a different grading for us to finish out the year with. So we got that stuff done and in the books. We wrapped up with a materials collection. We did 2 sessions over here. We had the seniors bring their stuff in a couple weeks ago on Thursday, Friday, and then the following week, grades 7 through 11. Staff really stepped up, came in, helped out, so we could sort it and quarantine it and all that kind of thing. And Mr. Osmond-Root and the custodial staff, Dad Osmond-Root, and the custodial staff did a really nice job helping us out, making sure things are quarantined properly and setting up tables to collect things with. And it went really well. I would have guessed that, I would say we saw at least 90% of our families returning stuff back to the building. And then the teachers are working through the list of things that are still missing. Transitioning to wrap up the year for our seniors, obviously a tragic year for that phenomenal group of kids. So many different things happened that should have happened, that couldn't happen. And Mrs. Kaler and Mrs. Hughes have been doing great working as the senior class advisors, putting together as many different opportunities, I guess you could say, for our seniors as possible. We were able to pull off the senior parade. We just recently did the diploma pickup yesterday. We saw all but 5 kids, and 4 of those 5 we knew weren't coming. So we only had one surprise that didn't show.
Just thank you guys all for coming.
Yeah.
And I also brought, just so you guys could see what the kids got, a little bit of what they got. I have the virtual kind of agenda. We had a little note in there too. And then we each gave a keychain and a USB drive, and included congratulations, and then on the back, just so you're aware of it in case you receive any calls. But we did include the baccalaureate message in there, which it's not a captive audience, and the message says feel free to delete if you don't share those same beliefs. But they missed out on that opportunity, which they can choose to go to that baccalaureate. So we included that in there as well. So each kid got those, along with their awards and a couple other items in there.
So we did the virtual awards night. Mr. Larson, our tech ed guy, did the video recording for us. That went really well. Mrs. Kaler and Mrs. Hughes again planned that and walked us through that whole process. Mr. and Mrs. Hughes made a senior picture sign-up day here at school. They had 2 days available where kids could sign up for appointments and come into the building and take pictures around the building. We had the stage set up as if it was good be for graduation, and they could pose out front by the school sign. They had several different little scenarios set up for them to take their pictures, so that was a lot of fun. You probably saw the picture of the 2 girls with the confetti, the glitter balloon on the Facebook page. That was one of the pictures they took. Mrs. Peterson helped us out a lot with some yearbook photography. She took pictures at the senior parade. She was at the diploma thing yesterday, and has done a lot of photography work to help us out. And then our office staff, Mrs. Seiler, Mrs. Lavery, boy, they pitched in wherever they were asked. They helped with Facebook posts and make slideshows, and in the slideshow you'll see for awards night, they made those senior slides for each kid and where they're going and their future plans and things. Mrs. Seiler helped make all those slides up, so lots of support from the office staff as well. Last thing hanging out there for seniors now is our anticipated July 26th graduation date. I guess we'll see what the COVID fund has in store for us as far as which plan we proceed with there. But, you know, we had some parents that were concerned about how we were doing things, and I think we pulled together some pretty good stuff for our kids the best we could. Oh, I forgot the senior signs. We had the senior signs all about town, and one for each family, each senior family, and faculty members come in and help deliver those to each family. So a lot of good stuff.
Thanks. You guys saw I shared with you guys a letter to the representatives, to Representative Quinn and then Senator Bewley. We're also going to put a thank you to the kind of all stakeholders that we want to put in our local paper as well. And I want to repeat everything, but you know, and even at the last meeting, I thank the teachers, the support staff, the food service, the custodial crew, the IT crew, the transportation crew. You guys as a board have been awesome. All three office staff crews have been unbelievable, and not once have I heard that's not my role or that's not my job, because we are all doing stuff that no longer falls under our umbrella, and it's just been really impressive to see everybody respond in the way that they've responded, because it's definitely changed the game for each and every one of us. And then I wanted to think, I can't remember if I did last time or not, but the three of these guys have been phenomenal as an admin team. I really think if you don't have a high functioning administrative team during something like this year, it's going to be very tough to navigate. And you know, even with the stretch with Mr. Peterson getting ill and still working from home and meeting with me, and Gillis working from home and helping out from afar, and then also coming in, and then Mr. Rosine stepping in, and in every single capacity that I asked him to step in. It's been very, I know from my perspective, definitely been great to be a part of such a high-functioning admin team. We have really three awesome leaders in the district, so I appreciate all of their efforts during this time, and whether it's even passing out stuff at the elementary or even yesterday, Mr. Peterson sending stuff out on behalf of the entire district with the food service stuff. I just wanted to help to draft letters and get communication out as quickly as we can. And I know I've said this before, but we're not like a Menominee or an Eau Claire district where you have somebody that's their role, just working on the communication out. It's internal, and
we even had directing traffic yesterday.
Yeah. So, and I think. And I failed to mention this, I think, at the last meeting, but I think a huge thank you goes out to our students and the parents. I think our students have responded in a way that has been very impressive, and then our parents have also responded. Many of us are parents ourselves, and this has not been easy from a parent perspective. And I'll speak for myself, just at home with my wife, who is able to stay home and was a former educator herself, and in my opinion, a brilliant and a great teacher, and it was very tough for her to do. And that you have 4 different kids at 4 different levels in 4 different grades, and you're trying to function while your spouse is not home. It's not easy, and I think many of our parents were in very similar boats. So it really huge thank you to the parents during this time and the students during this time. So we want to get back to normal. We want the students back in the building, and hopefully in the fall we'll be able to do that. Some of this stuff I touched base on already, but planning to move forward. We're going to plan for July, August. I totally blanked. The graduation ceremony is one of those proposals that we'll be working on in July. Then August will be sports and some of the normal stuff in August. Reopening. We touched on the diploma distribution. Food service now has switched over to the new moving only to pickup. So now we're doing 2 days a week, where they pick up only 1 day a week on Wednesday, where families can come in if they haven't signed up now. We've kind of locked it in, and we sent that out multiple times. So we have Mr. Peterson, you know
And
what?
242 it was today.
Was the total number of pickup, which I was actually shocked at how many have taken advantage of. So that's nice to see that there's that many families that are taking advantage of the pickup still. We were nervous that it was going to make the numbers drop drastically. But it has changed a little bit. They're moving more towards the frozen goods with instruction pieces on how to cook the items. I sent out an end of the year survey to all of our staff just to kind of get a feel for kind of how things went, things that they were pleased with, things that they weren't pleased with, things that they are nervous about in the fall. So we'll hopefully have some more information. Got about half of the staff that have completed that survey, so I'll have some of that information at the next meeting. And I do think there was one in there that was extremely impressed with the IT department, and then a smiley face. So I'm pretty sure that was Bo that filled that survey out. I think it'll be good data to look at to try to gauge where everybody was at and kind of things to consider in the fall as well. We have made a couple purchase decisions because of our response. We've purchased Chromebooks for all staff, new Chromebooks. We struggled with some of the devices with the audio, but then kind of a two-part piece to the decision. We also want to make sure that all kids have devices going home, so we're going to look at the elementary and see what age group do we now think it is appropriate for everyone to have a device. Prior to, we kind of had a decision, and I know my opinion has changed because of all this. So we want to make sure that we are giving kids opportunities if we do have to do some type of short-term or even long-term closure next school year. So we have now 50-plus devices that we will be able to transition potentially into the kids' hands and being deployed that way. And then all of the teachers have new Chromebooks with better audio and able to have Zoom meetings a little bit more easily. So those devices are purchased and are already here. We've also moved forward with 8 hand sanitizer, mobile hand sanitizer that we can move throughout the district, and then we're going to be putting in plexiglass at the 3 offices, the high kind of profile areas where secretarial staff have a lot of contact with kids. So we're going to be hopefully installing that in the near future. And then I think we will, unfortunately, we're going to have to be purchasing some more items like the hand sanitizer, as we get more guidance from the CDC and then the local DHS on what we need to have in the district to make sure everybody's feeling safe and that we keep everybody healthy. Talked about the minutes, the instructional minutes that we're going to increase, and that'll be most likely a July item. And then we also this year, we're doing something different this year with the summer hours of staff. We're giving all 12-month employees the options of either working 4 10-hour days and then having Friday off, or 4 8.5-hour days and then taking a half day off on Friday. We piloted it last year with the custodial crew, only during the month of July, and that was going to be the plan this year, to move everybody only to the month of July. But now, with the thought that we usually have summer school in June, and then August is when we bring in the fall sports. So this year's a little bit different. I've allowed it for June and July, but not August. August we go back to normal hours. So I'm going to put it on the recording on our message machine that those are the new hours, just in case we do field any calls. But we've set stuff in place, so we have most of the time we have someone here anyway. But the summer hours will be Monday through Thursday normal hours, and then Friday till 12 o'clock. I think I hit everything. I feel like I'm starting to ramble a little bit, so I apologize, but I think I've hit everything with that. Any questions regarding any of the response to COVID? I'm kind of getting sick of the review of COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then does that put us at the review of the Neola policies?
That does, yeah. So I put the policies in there for you guys to review. Sent them to you a PDF too, so you can access them through that PDF, or you could do the link. They're all pretty self-explanatory and pretty short for the most part. So you guys let me know how you want to do this. If we want to keep doing what we're doing, give you some silent time to read it, each one, and then if you guys have questions, we can go through it. I believe the first policy is policy 01512, required student academic standards, agenda item.
Yep.
And if you notice, we've done that in the past, and I have that listed as one of the July board items. So, all good with that one?
Yep.
Just list the standards that we teach to. Okay, the next policy, policy 0152, title officers.
Bye, Marcy. Thanks for coming.
Oh, good morning, I got some stuff to do.
Yeah, that one was.
That's good.
All good? Okay. All right, policy 0155, committees.
Yep.
All good? No questions? Okay, policy 0161.
This one, I wanted to share with you guys the fact that we are a long ways from the way that we conduct our business to Robert's Rules of Order. And I think that every school board is actually a long ways, but they all reference Robert's Rules of Order.
I did purchase some Robert's Rules books too, if you're interested. There, I put them in here. They're those yellow parliamentary procedure books. So if it is, maybe it is a little bit different, but if you want the actual.
Anyway, with that being said, what I was thinking is I wonder if we should have in there something that includes or encompasses the traditions that Clear Lake School District Board has or is using currently on how to conduct business. Because I remember when we had some turmoil on our board, I went back at that time to look at how to run meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order, and there's a lot of differences. There's just a lot of, there's some nuances to how you run a meeting that don't pertain to some of the stuff that we deal with, and I can't remember what they are, I don't know. But anyway, so then I propose that we put some language in there that also includes the traditions that we use on how we run our meetings.
I like the last sentence, though. It says if we don't follow those procedures, it doesn't affect the validity of what we, I mean, what we said passed still is passed or not passed. So that really gets us by,
That actually probably encompasses what.
that gets us by not following the procedures.
As long as we as a group agree, we can go ahead and do what
Right.
we need to do.
Because it says procedural flexibility allowed in the procedures for small boards, so.
All right, then I guess I'm good.
Okay.
I guess I didn't realize that was there.
Otherwise, we could have Mr. Weiss come in and do a
Yeah,
oral presentation.
Well, I remember when that group came in, you remember, they did their
Yeah.
presentation, it's like, yeah, we don't do that.
Well, and that's at that time, I actually asked Mr. Weiss to come over to my house and talk to me about that. He's just like, well, this is two different birds, so.
Well, feel free to grab a book too if you want, if you need to. Okay. Next one, policy 0162, quorum.
is this the one with the group text apply, Greg? He was quoting policy yesterday.
Would you have been impressed about a quoted PP 0163?
I think I might have known.
You guys good at that one? That was pretty
Yeah,
straightforward. too.
straightforward.
Okay, policy 0163, presiding officer.
Okay.
Good. And policy 0164.1, regular meetings.
Good. Straightforward.
Okay. Policy 0164.2, special meetings. Good.
I can't wait till Lori shows up at my doorstep with special meeting.
Reading 24 hours before.
I just assumed it would be you. Special delivery.
Policy 0165.1, notice of regular meetings.
And ours are posted at the post office, right? Is that?
Yeah, this has been a little interesting during COVID. We usually post at the post office and then the City Hall, thank you. And the City Hall has been closed. But we do post online as well, so that covers us. But we have been posting at the post office area has been open. So.
That's good.
You guys good with that one?
Mhm.
Okay. Policy 0165.2, change of regular meetings.
Good.
Mhm.
Good. Okay. Then the last one that we have for today is policy 0166, agenda.
Can we put that statement on?
Yeah, I was gonna say
That
it's not
statement's
on
not
our.
there.
Which one?
Well, mid-page, right where the hole punch is, each agenda should contain the following statement.
This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education and public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I was just looking at our agenda. I don't know
Yep.
if this is the same one that's posted.
Yep, I'll throw it on there on my template.
Mhm.
Good, besides that.
So just a couple of tidbits on this one. So is this in the first paragraph, is that reading that if an individual board member wants to include an agenda item, they have to have the concurrence of the board president? Does this actually limit whether or not a board member can put something on the agenda? Or not?
Is this paragraph 1?
Yep.
I would say it does.
Yes?
And is that what we want?
What does the state statute say?
I think it's open for how we want to run things. Because since I've been on the board, it's kind of both ways. Initially, when I was on the board, the president is the one that made up the agenda with the superintendent and the two of them. If somebody wanted to put something on the agenda, they'd come to the president or to the administrator, and then those two would decide. Then it went to throwing that out the window, and just anybody that wants to put something on the agenda, we have that as one of our agenda items
Future.
right now, future agenda items. So, and now we're going back to, well, now we have to have concurrence with the president again. And it doesn't matter how I want to do it, it's how we want to have it done going forward for future boards.
Because it lists the statute though, do we have to be in compliance with state statute? Because this one lists the statute.
No,
Could we say upon the concurrence of the board president or the administrator? So it's just kind of either or, I mean,
Well, I think my
Or a
interpretation is
majority.
this is outside of the context of a board meeting. You know what I mean? So if you, because the future agenda items,
So called
if
before,
you
you
guys
could
all
do it,
decided
you
as
could
a
do it whenever.
collective
right. But if I
holding-
call you mid-month and say, I've got complaints, can we talk about this?
He'd have to approve
Then
it.
it needs to go through Greg.
Oh, I see what you're saying, so include, I gotcha.
In that one sentence, the third sentence down,
Yep.
fourth sentence down, say, on the concurrence of the board president or administrator. Does that work? Because obviously, the administrator's going to hear about it to have it on the agenda.
Right.
Well, I think that it's probably stated that way because I think there needs to be, and I guess I don't say I think there needs to be, at times there needs to be perhaps a system that checks
Mhm.
crazy things from being on our agenda.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah, and I also think there needs to be a check and balance between the administrator and the school board. I just think of the Amory situation
Right.
where you have
True.
the administrator that's
But-
negating things from getting talked about.
But like you said, if we're talking about something on the future agenda items, it will be on there at this
Yeah.
meeting next
Right.
year.
Right now, we're doing it that way, but now we're looking at this and
But I think Josh is right. It's something
In
that's not
addition.
in a meeting. It's,
It's already at
I
the
call
meeting,
you a
so it's
week before the
approved.
meeting.
So if last week I called you and say, can we get this on the agenda for next week?
You can say no.
I think
So don't
having the
have-
future agenda item on the board agenda
Covers most.
eliminates like a dysfunctional
Right.
opportunity for a dysfunctional board to,
Right, I agree.
Right.
I think, that's my interpretation.
I think that's where it's getting to, is just to eliminate one person having the power of what we can talk about.
how do you read that, Josh?
Well, because we have future agenda items, which means the entire board talks about it. If we didn't have that, then it could be, kind of, if you had a dysfunctional board, it could be tough to navigate with just this in place. Because I think this is outside of the context of a board meeting as far as determining what goes on a agenda item. So now you kind of have checks and balances with this, our policy plus item that says future agenda items. Then as a whole board, you guys can decide.
Right.
Does that
I
make
might,
today?
I might not be able to get it on there the week before, but I will the next.
The following one, right?
For sure.
Does that make sense?
Well, I just don't read any time into that. I think this is just somebody wants to put something on the agenda, and they need to have the concurrence of the president. That's how I interpret this.
I would say not if it's talked about at the future agenda.
So
Yeah,
let's say you have a
but the future-
dysfunctional board
take the
president.
future agenda, no other board has that, I don't think, right? I think that if you take that off the table and we're running like a regular school board, the way that this reads is that the individual board member needs to get concurrence from the board president. That's what this reads. Now, what should it read according to what we're doing? What we're doing is we're doing the future agenda items. Now it should read that they should have concurrence from the total board maybe. You know what I mean? Right now, we're not set up to do it the way it's reading. We're not getting concurrence from me to put things on the agenda, or from the president to put things on the agenda. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, but then if we put future agenda items, then it would almost read like you can only decide what's on the board agenda within the context of a board meeting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if we leave it as is, the future agenda item is in place in case you have a
What if
dysfunctional
something
board
comes up
president,
tomorrow?
I think.
Right.
What if something comes up tomorrow that somebody wants to be on the board, or the week before an actual meeting?
Right, he would have to approve it.
Right.
Okay.
And then if he doesn't, or let's say you had a dysfunctional board president, then this is your kind of checks and balances
Then
to
their
have
next
the
meeting, it
future
would be
agenda
on.
item to discuss it as
Yeah.
a whole board. And then collectively, you guys could decide to have it on the next board as an item, agenda item.
Right,
Does
because
that
if
make
you
sense?
take that out of there, each one of us, if we're mad about something, we could get it on the agenda
Right.
if you completely take it out of there.
Well, the option would be, the first option is go to Greg, and if he says no, then we bring it up in the public meeting the next
At the
month.
future, yes.
Right, so there's still two avenues. If one person really wants something on there, he has two chances, or he or she have two chances
Right,
to
and
get it on there.
if you put future agenda item as a collective whole, I feel like that limits yourself as a board where you have to
Right.
decide all of the board agenda items in this
Right.
meeting
Prior
or
meeting.
next meeting,
Right.
right? where, you and I both know, we decide, there are things that come up and be like, oh, hey, can we get this
Yeah,
on? And then you
this
call
on.
me or,
Right.
So does this need to, but so if we bring this up at a meeting, do we want to have this on the agenda, then they won't need the concurrence of the president then?
Not if it's here.
if it's decided
Correct.
in the meeting, right?
Correct.
Then it's,
That's not what this is saying though.
This is saying it needs.
This is saying they need concurrence from me at any time. If anybody wants to get something on the agenda, they need the concurrence of the president, period. Or am I wrong in thinking that's what it
I think
says?
that's what it's saying.
I guess all I'm suggesting is that we just make this accurate, because this might come up.
yeah. I can ask just to see if future agenda items trumps this.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, the sentence before, you could say the agenda shall list the future agenda items from the prior meeting. I mean, you could put it somewhere in another sentence there too, though.
And I would think that the future agenda items, if the whole board decides something as an agenda item, I would think that would trump this policy as an individual, because as an individual, you're just an individual, you're not a
Or the-
collective board.
Or the
Right.
majority.
That's what I
You
was
can just
thinking.
ask the lawyer if we
But I
leave
can
both
ask.
things in, is it,
I think if it reads concurrence of the board president and/or majority of the board.
Mm-hmm.
at the prior meeting, yeah?
Because there
Right, but
might
that,
be a
at that
time-
point, it'll have to be at a meeting though.
There might be a time where somebody's bringing something up and it's just, I don't know if you guys followed any of the old stuff that was going on. This was a battle we had. And the board president is gonna say, no, I don't concur, I don't want it on. Now that person would have the option to ask the rest of you, and that would be the rest of yours opportunity to say, yeah, no, we're not gonna talk about that anymore, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're done, or yes, I want to
So
talk
maybe
about it.
Yeah.
Or the majority? How about just the majority of the board, rather than the president?
And then
Well,
the
no, 'cause
majority
then
would have to
you'd
happen
have
in a
to-
meeting because of
Right.
quorum.
Right. Or,
I'll find out on this one.
Okay, we all good?
yeah.
That's it.
So did we already do superintendent notes, Josh?
No, but I covered everything, so it should be good.
Okay, then I guess the next item of business is the contemplated closed session, right?
Yep.
In accordance with WSS 19.85, paragraph 1C, considering employment compensation or performance data of any public employee which this government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Tonight we'll be talking about an employee leave request and review of employee compensation and performance. So I'll pull the board. Christie?
Yep.
Ryan?
Yep.
Skip?
Yep.
Nate?
Yes?
Myself, yes. We are. Hey, thanks, you guys.
You don't need
All right, we'll return to open session. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the leave for Mrs. Hughes.
McHugh.
McHugh, sorry.
Second.
And properly moved and seconded to approve that leave. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I'll entertain another motion.
Future agenda items? Or not? Do I need that?
The what?
Future agenda items?
Oh, yeah, future agenda items.
Nothing besides what's listed.
Well, the preliminary budget. We'll have approval of academic standards, review of seclusion and restraint, approval of food service prices, student fees, athletic event prices, and the preliminary budget will be on there.
Anybody have anything else?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
You three need to seriously take some
Motion
vacation.
passes. We are adjourned.